When I first got on Wegovy, the weight loss jab, I spoke about it quite publicly and the videos did well and people had a lot of questions, and I've been quite quiet about it since then because I've had other things and other projects, but I've mentioned it once or twice on the show. But I've had a lot of questions about how I'm getting on with the weight loss jab, so I thought I'd answer those questions here today with you. So I started the weight loss jab in September, so it's been sort of roughly 6 months, and I've lost nearly 4 stone in that time. And I have had ups and downs with it. The last full video I did about the weight loss jab was because I was suffering from some real depression, and I put that down to being on the jab. And I think I was right, but I think the problem I was having was that I was having too much caffeine and not drinking enough water. Both are things that I think can trigger you to have physiologically a poor response, and mentally apparently a poor response to the jab. So once I cut down on the caffeine and I started drinking lots more water, I started to feel much better, and I started to reap the benefits more from the jab. To be fair, they do warn you that you need to drink plenty of water, more than plenty of water, and reduce your caffeine intake. And I didn't do those things, but as soon as I did, I started feeling much better. I'm now on the 2.5 milligrams of Wegovy, and that's quite a jump. When you jump from 1.7 to 2.5, I found that was quite significant, and I was having some digestive issues for the first sort of week or so because we were on holiday, and Wegovy slows your digestion right down so that the stuff you're eating lasts longer, so you're not hungry for there's a bigger gap between your meals and stuff. And I was having like mixed grills. I was having loads of meat on holiday and going, oh my God, why do I feel so terrible? It's because my body was taking ages to process it. The reason I'm telling you this is because if you're thinking about doing the weight loss jab, and my experiences with Wegovy, then the trick is to make sure you read what they tell you to read and learn about it first, okay? Because I just sort of dived in, much to my detriment. Okay, because I could have had a much better experience earlier if I'd known more about it. Now, being 4 stone lighter is wonderful. I feel much more energetic. The line for me, there was 2 things that started me on the weight loss jab journey. One was I saw pictures of myself when I hosted the tattoo competition at last year's Tattoo Fest. I had a pervert's mustache. I looked huge, and I wore a tracksuit because only hoodies and trackies were comfortable, and the only things that could fit me really, because I was big and uncomfortable. And so I saw pictures of myself on stage at Tattoo Fest, and that was the first that was the first moment where I thought, Jesus, how have I let myself get so big? And the second one was I'd started to get a little bit of sleep apnea. So whenever I'd sleep on my back, I started to get really uncomfortable, or I started to suffocate on myself. I started to, because I was overweight, there was so much pressure on my chest and stomach, and I was really, really heavy. So that was the final straw, and I didn't regret it for a minute. And I know weight loss jabs are controversial, and I know lots of people have strong opinions on them, and for the most part those people are right, because what the jab doesn't do is cure your habits. Okay, if you're a compulsive eater, if you're a binge eater, if you've got problems with eating around sugar and binging, that sort of thing, those things will still be there after the jab. Okay, so it's masking the underlying problems. The reason I think the jab is good for me is because it dulls the part of your brain that makes you want to binge and makes you want to constantly stuff your face with sugar and cake and crap. Does that make sense? It turns that part of your brain off. That's all it does. It quietens. I used to deal with a lot of food noise. Eat this, eat that, you're fat. Why did you eat that? Why did you eat so much? Can't eat something else. Oh, you've already eaten this. You might as well eat something else. And there was like 1,000 radios on in my head all the time, constantly about food. And I was riddled with shame. I used to just eat in the kitchen away from my family because I knew I'd be gorging myself on stuff. I had to break that cycle somehow. Now, what I've done, which I think is the sensible route, is I'm now in counselling. So counseling's helping me with a number of things. We're looking for an OCD and ADHD diagnosis, but also with my problems around food, which also tie into those things. So I'm in counselling for the underlying issue, and whilst I'm doing that, I'm on Wegovy to turn it off for a minute. Turn off all the bad stuff in my brain. Not all the bad stuff. It turns off all the food noise, turns off all the compulsions and all the cravings, so I can finally get myself into a shape I want to be at. I'm not quite there yet. I'm feeling much better. I know I look much better, but you have to be careful because the feeling is that because the the urge is to stay on it forever because it's a miracle drug. Okay, well, that's how it seems. But what I've started to do now, well, from next month, I'm going to start coming down my dosages with Wegovy, because I want to see if I want to come right back down to 0.25, just so there's something always working for me, taking the edge off the cravings, but I can then put into practice the stuff I'm learning counseling, and eat proper meals again and enjoy myself. But we'll see. It's a balancing act. I mean, if you've listened to the podcast before or followed the podcast, you know that it's a bag of crazy up here, and I'm doing my best to deal with it. Okay. So if you have questions about Wegovy specifically, or about my weight loss journey, or I mean, there's one more thing I will say. All the weight loss jab does is it stops you from overeating and stops you from binging. When you do eat, you still do have to eat the right stuff. Otherwise, you start to feel terrible because you're malnourished and you're not getting the right nutrients. So you do still have to eat right. And if you want to lose weight in a meaningful way, you do still have to go to the gym, and you have to exercise, which is something I've managed to keep pretty good with. I'm maintaining being very active, because I can see that it's made a meteoric difference whilst working in tandem with the jab. Okay. Now, so I hope that clears up any questions you might have. If not, please put in the comments any questions you might have, or anything you want to ask me, and I'll do my best to answer them. But what I will say is I'm not qualified to do that. Talk to your GP or talk to a doctor about the weight loss jab if you think that's a path that is right for you. Thanks as always to our sponsors, Graham's Windows and Doors at grahamswindowsanddoors.co.uk and Paramount Prizes at paramountprizes.co.uk. And thank you for watching and listening. The Steve Kaler Show podcast will be back next Tuesday. I love you, and I'll see you soon.